Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Monday. It's new model day. Mondays are always fun. This is a model that I have picked off the stash. Not this stash. I picked off the top of the stash. I saw this at my local hobby shop. Was intrigued by the design, and that's it. It's not. I have no. I guess it's from a game. I don't know. I have no emotional connection to the source material, other than the fact that this looks like a fun blimp. This is the Kirov Airship. It is said to be an N scale, maybe? 1/N scale. This is from a company called Border. It is the Kirov Airship. Now, what intrigued me so much about this is that I don't have any blimps in my collection. At this point in time, I have no airships like this. It was about, let me see, do I have the price tag on it still? It was 85 bucks. Now, that is pricey. It looks to me to be an import kit. That is pricey, but I'll tell you, what intrigues me about it is that it comes with lighting and motors for the propellers. And it's got an intriguing stand here that the whole thing sits on its own stand that looks to be, I don't know if the stand is articulated or not, but it does have a weird looking little stand. But it's got all of these motors, or all of these propellers that you see are motorized. And when you put that into play, and they also say that it's a snap together. It's I won't say it's Bandai-ish. Bordermodel.com is where it came from. The Seidlitz Trading Company. It's in centimeters, so I can't tell you how big it is. It's Border 1-to-1 Kirov Airship. I don't think it's 1-to-1. But it's got all these neat features that if you were to buy a kit similar to this and then spend money on buying motors and lighting for it, you might spend close to the 85 bucks that is into this out of the box. So we got a box full of parts here. Let's meet some of them. Okay, now it's molded in color. It says you don't have to paint it, but I've never seen a color Bandai-ish model that, even if it's molded in color, that I haven't turned around and painted anyway. It's just something about the unpainted plastic that doesn't appeal to me. Here's your bag of electronics. We've got a board and lighting, and this looks like part of the stand. All kinds of switches, and some of this is for the battery box, and then some of these are just nice, toggle switches. Again, you would spend money for this kind of stuff if you were adding it to your kit, so all of a sudden it becomes a better and better bargain. We've got orange pieces, we've got clear pieces, we've got gray pieces for bombs, we've got looks like a wiring diagram, we've got the blimp color here. I'm not going to promise that I won't paint these and end up painting these different colors. Now it comes with a hammer and sickle insignia and decals to make it look like a grimacing face. And I don't know that I'm going to be using all of those. I'm not fond of real life hammers and sickles. I'm not fond of making accurate or even semi-accurate communist propaganda. Last time I did the German UFO, I ended up making it look like Hydra, just because I prefer my Nazis to be fictional. So I don't know exactly what I'll be doing for that. Now the base does have Russian markings on it, so we might not be able to escape so much of that unless I were to put up some sort of patch over it. Here's the battery box. You see it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it takes 6. It's a 9-volt battery system. My instruction book for this seems to have gone amiss. I took the instructions out to read them, and I don't think I put them back in the box, so I'm going to have to find that. But it looks like it's got a generous number of parts, and like I said, it's got some electronics, and all of this comes in the box. So without much further ado, I think we should start plunging into this and seeing what parts we might need to paint ahead of assembly and what parts we can put together and then paint. Already I've located the instruction book. I had it out in the other room while I was studying it. And here it is. It is a whopping 22-page booklet showing wiring diagrams and all of that. It's got a code here to watch the assembly process. I might want to try that. See if I look at that and see how they did it. But I'm looking at how they chase wiring down, and there's nice photos every once in a while. They went through the extra step to show you how the circuit boards fit in. So we've got a gondola with all of the we've got a gondola, we've got a harness, and we've got the blimp itself. Now the blimp has motors. These motors, you need to make 5 of, or make 5 of these and 2 of these, and then pepper them around and then put the framework. So yeah, if I'm going to paint this, if I don't want this blimp to be that tan color, I'm going to need to prime and paint that first before we add anything else onto it. Greetings, kids. I wish I had better news. I am working on the Kirov Airship, and I am piecing together things, and I realize I have come to a spot in the instructions where they're asking for parts A, 15, and 16, and I realize I don't have that entire frame. The A frame I don't have. It's not in the box. I don't know what to do. I've contacted both the owner of the hobby shop to see if he's got another copy of this kit, and I've contacted the Facebook page for the company of the kit to see what they do as far as what their policy is for replacement. So we're going to find that out. I don't know if it's worth continuing. There's certainly a lot of work we can do, but it might be all for naught if we can't get the missing parts. So I'm going to reassess. I do want to continue on this kit. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, but I don't know. It looks like what I'm missing is, I'll tell you what I'm missing because they have a picture of it. I am missing this entire A frame, and it looks like parts of the stand, the scissor arm for the stand, and some other little bit. Looks like the battery box cover and a couple of other bits. These are the 2 in particular that I need right now. So I can build up a lot of this kit, but I might end up running into a wall if those turn out to be vital. So we'll see what we'll see. Like I said, I could do up a bunch of this, but not all of it. Certainly not the stand. This was A16 and 17. This is where I got through all of stage 1 without it, but that's where I got stopped. So yeah, that's where we're at. In other news, I've actually warmed up the printer today. You might hear it in the background. Working with Jeff on a adaptation for the lighting of the Cerritos, and if it works out, it could be fun. So we might pivot and work on that. Welcome back to day 2 on Project Push On Through Anyway. I am building what I can build. I'm going to check and see if I can find another copy of this kit to give me the parts that I'm missing, but that's later. I've gone ahead and done the bits that I can, the mass production parts. I've got all of the motors ensconced in their little cabins there. I noticed right away that they wanted me to start putting parts on the sides of the blimp. I didn't like this color, so I painted it. So I needed to get that painted before I could do anything with that, so I skipped ahead to work on the motors, on the propellers. This is just a a primer coat. I haven't decided on the final color. I think I want to do something that's maybe a slightly iridescent, something that's maybe got a texture to it. Not a texture, but a shine to it. Something that if you saw it up in the sky, it might have those reflective panel type of things that would make it disappear against the sky. So maybe a light bluish gray for the body of this, something different. I have not decided whether or not these will be repainted. I'm kind of building it with the intent of using the raw plastic color, and then we'll see. These propellers can come off. I can make it easy. I wouldn't paint the propellers anyway, the blades anyway, but I'm wondering about the red color there, whether that needs to be repainted or painted a different color. So I've got all of the motors done, and it turns out there are extra parts when all is said and done, which is a dang shame, because I wish they would, planned a little bit better to the parts that I'm missing would be extra parts, but they're not. You can see how it the red bits fit into the girdle work that goes around the blimp. I'm also not wild about that face, but I can't do anything about that because it's a carved in. I might be able to get away from using the swastikas, but the face is kind of carved into the sides, and I can't really get around that. But I might be able to close up the holes that the swastika uses, or in fact maybe put something else there instead. The wiring that they're giving us here isn't a lot stuck out of those motors, so I'm curious as to how well those are going to wire together with not a lot of extras. I'll have to see what the wiring loom looks like to see whether they give me any extra. But that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm going to cook up a good color for the sides of the blimp, or maybe I'll start working on the gondola part of it. Okay, I'm back from a completely fruitless search at the hobby shops for another copy of this kit. So we're going to continue to build what we can build and omit what we can't, and we're going to see how far we get. I did find a nice pearl light blue that I want to use on the hull of the airship, so I can go ahead and do that much at least, and then we'll continue on with what we can. Well, isn't this the prettiest color you ever saw? I like that. It's blue pearl metallic. Yeah, pearl light blue Tamiya. I think that's nice. I think what I'm going to do now is break ranks with the instructions and do the gondola part. That doesn't seem to need any of this. I need to let this dry a little bit more before I start adding any girders or anything to it, since all of these end up going like right about there. Yeah, we're going to set this to the side and work on the gondola. Morning, it is Thursday. We are back on the Kirov Airship from whatever much we can do of it. I worked on this gondola yesterday. I don't remember how much I showed on video. It was quite a struggle getting all the little LEDs packed in there and getting this covered up. I'm wishing now maybe I had painted it before, but I've got the ability to put masking on there if I really want to paint these, paint this black. The surprising thing is when I tested the lights is that they are red. I don't know why I assumed they would just be white LEDs, but I took a little battery pack on there and tested everything to make sure we were still hunky-dory, and lo and behold, they are red, so nice surprise. I don't know how well that'll go with the blue blimp, or the silverish blue blimp. And I've got the all of the propellers done, all of the motor mounts and engines and things like that. These are all done, and that makes a nice little contrasting color. But we are going to go back today, and I think what we need to do is finish up the gondola. I'll pull out all the parts that I've got. I want to repaint the facial parts of this. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff we can put in here. We can do these bombs and such. Because this is orange, and I don't like it being orange, I probably will paint these white. So I can paint them white on the tree and be done with it. But now that the sides are done, I can go back and work on what I'm calling the girdle, which is the framework that this sits on. But I think what I want to do is take this out, put some white paint on it, and have that drying while I'm working on the rest of it. Okay, so I've got the, looks like the girdle. I've got the framework for the gondola and everything on the, which I guess this is the starboard side. I don't have this back fin on yet because we've not been asked to put anything there, but I'm assuming it's one of these guys. So, actually I think these go in the slots. We'll have to see what goes in there. But this is where the, let me see, I guess the big ones would go in here. The, oh, wait a minute. I think these ones go in here. Yeah, the vertical ones. They have a bigger wing there. Those are the down ones, I think. We've run into our first major problem with the missing frame. It looks like the missing frame also contains the support for the second circuit board. So since that looks like to be basically a piece of flat stock, I think I could scratch build something for that. But we'll see, because it also has the top joint for the, see, it's this piece right here, this A4. It's also got the top joint to go in the stand, but we don't have the stand, so I'm not really all that concerned about it. We don't have a good chunk of the stand. Okay, so we have the last bit of girdling to put on the half is we have this frame that goes down the top, and like I was imagining, the first of the wings goes back there like that, and then that finishes up the side. And that might be a good place to stop, at least temporarily. Morning, everybody. How you doing? It's Friday. It's the last work day of the week. Last work day on this Kirov Airship. I gotta tell you, this kit is a mess. Not in the physical parts of it, mind you, except for the fact that I got stiffed on the A-frame of the parts, but the electronics of it are a complete mess. What they show in the instructions is not what you're getting. They gave me a little addendum, conveniently in Chinese. That's a bad black and white photo, copy of a JPEG that's poorly printed and tells me next to nothing. What's in the instructions, like I said, is not what you are forced to work with. It's quite frankly, it's just that. You're giving wiring like this for the motors. Now look at that and tell me if you think that's enough wire to work with, enough wire to solder to. I mean, these are all going to have to be restripped. They were better off on this one. Well, no, they're no better off on this long this long lead. This is what's supposed to go down from the main board to the down the base and down into the switches. It's supposed to plug in. Well, it plugs into this board like that. That is nothing like what the instructions show. They show a series of these plugs where it comes out of the board and the plug goes right in there. That's not how that works. I'm sorry. That's just never going to fit that way. They have a corrected photo here that shows what the board actually looks like, but then again, no diagram of where any of these wires are going. So you kind of have to identify, okay, that one looks like it's coming out to that bulb. It's just a mess. It's a mess and a half, and it doesn't have to be this complicated. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to finish up with all the physical parts, putting the parts on the hull. I've got this much done. I've put the back wings on, and I've got the back girdle on. I've got the front frame on. I've not put the details in the face yet, but this is the majority of the half. Now, I'm going to do this much on the other half of the blimp, and then we're going to reassess once I've gotten all the parts out of here that are taking up visual interest, that I can get those off, and I'm left with the few remaining pieces. I'll know better what I have to work with, but the first thing I'm going to have to do is strip more length off of these, and then try to solder them up to the wiring diagram, or the board. This is the boards as it is. These, again, no indication of where the power in is coming from, or where the power out goes. They're all just labeled LED, which they're not. They are motors. But I'm looking for the 5 common sets of wiring, which I think are supposed to be the motors. And maybe we can see, they did give me a little bit more wire on the end of these to solder to. Although they don't even recommend soldering. They say you could twist them together and use cellophane tape on it, which, I mean, come on. Who's going to do that? They're trying to push this as a don't paint, don't decal, snap together, don't glue kit. And it's just not that. Something this complicated needs to have been better done, needs to have been given with soldered connections, and that's what I'm going to have to do. And then try to figure out which of these wires, I might have to cut some of these plugs off and rewire the LEDs to make them work. They show wiring that goes straight out to an LED, when on the actual wiring that you're given, it goes out to a plug, and there's no LED on the end of that plug, so you have to figure that out for yourself. Again, this is the long loom that's supposed to go down into the base, which I don't have, so I'm going to have to come up with a new base. So I will need this, but what happens is this goes down to turn on all the switches. But once you put this in the kit, once you've hidden this in the kit, tell me, if you were just looking at that, where your red and blacks, which went to which switch. I have to go through here and hope that they have them in order here for a reason, separate them out, and put like a number 1 at the end of this, and a number 2 at the end of this, and a number 3 at the end of this, and hope that means something by the time I get down to the wiring of it. It's a mess, like I say. Going to do my best to get it done, but it is probably something that, when it's done, is not exactly going to have pride of place on the shelf. So, join me in the struggle. Hopefully we'll get something out of it by the end of the day. Okay, I'm getting ready to wrap up this ill-fated project for the week. And I want to show you something I think is probably one of the stupidest, dumbest, most idiotic things I've ever seen. And no, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You and I, any other sane human being, looking at something like this, looking at a battery pack that holds 6 batteries, you would say, oh, that holds 6 batteries, it's a 9-volt, battery power source. And that's not how this works. This is 3 separate, non-connected 3-volt power sources. These 2 batteries here have nothing to do with these 2 batteries here or these 2 batteries here. There are 3 switches, 2 of which run different propellers, one of which runs all of the lighting. Now, I was wondering why I could not find any power in. Why is there no power in on this board? And it's because each of these are its own circuit, somehow going through this with little jumpers to make the switches work. But each one of these is an independent power source. That makes no sense. That makes no sense at all. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you have a power source going in and then having that branch off into 3 circuits if that's what you want? It's not how this works. And it's another one of these wonderful little joys I've discovered when it comes to this board and how we're supposed to power everything. Any one of these LEDs, if you put power to it, it backs up through the board and powers everything else. Let's see if it works that way. If I back it up through one of the motor engines, one of the propeller motors, does it work that way? Now that does not seem to work. Okay, let me double check this. Yes, that runs a propeller. Now, if I take my little power source here and I put it up against the terminals on this LED here, these bare wires, it feeds back through the rest of the board. I'm trying to do this in such a way that I don't short these out. Okay, there we go. Okay, that was... And again, there's no resistors on any of this. This is simply 3 volts going into a red LEDs. But that lights up all of the gondola. Lights up all the gondola, plus backfeeds through that other board and lights up the one LED that's connected to that board. So I've got to figure out how to get LEDs to all of these and then get them to the board. Now, the thing is, it's, again, not anything like the wiring instructions or any of the illustrations. I think I just need to cut these and just rewire it and simplify it. But it ain't going to happen today. So let me show you what I did get done, and then we'll end it there. Here we have the starboard side of the blimp. I did not put the hammer and sickle on there yet. I don't know that I'm going to. But that's all of the... I was hoping maybe I'd end the day with running these propellers, but I don't think that's going to happen. That's the starboard side. And here is the port side. So when you put them all together, they spell mother. When you put them together, it looks like a fun little kit. This looks like that. It's got propellers, it's got lifters, it's got a shark face on it. It's all kinds of fun. If you wanted to do this way, you could make the Jaws poster out of it. And there's also a bunch of little delicate details like spotlights, non-working spotlights, and some little antennas that I don't want to put on there because they'll snap right off. But the next thing they want me to do is work on the stand, and that's the thing I have no parts for. So if I don't feel like I'm going to be getting any parts for that, I may have to back up and punt next week as to how we're going to finish this thing. This is the gondola that we got done, and again, it's got plugs coming in and out of it to light up everything that's underneath. I got the bombs in place there, you hadn't seen those, and these little guns. But this goes underneath like that once we get to that stage. And I just need to get, I guess I need to get a power source down to that, because if I have a power source here, this back bulb only lights this back bulb. This wire only lights this back bulb. So what I need to do... Ooh, let's see what... No, that's the wrong plug. Dang it. If I could put the a female on there, then I could plug those into each other and then plug... that might be a way to go. But I'm definitely would have to cut some wiring to make that happen. Well, rewiring this thing might be next week's task. So until then, that's all the news for now. Well, kids, I'm sorry this week has turned out the way it did. That's what I get for not vetting the kit more thoroughly before I bring it down. Unfortunately, it was either this or not have anything to report this week, and that's no bueno. I need to keep building, need to keep making things. I wish I had checked to make sure all the parts were here before I decided this was what I was going to build. Again, it's just something to overcome. If I have to build a new base for it, I will. I've got the switches that I need. I just might have to rewire everything from the ground up to make it work. So, until next week, when I'm sure we'll figure this all out, y'all be safe, be smart, be good to each other, be good to yourself, and don't count your chickens before they're hatched.